If I'm an athlete, I'm just like, man, such and such just got paid X amount of dollars. I know I'm better than him. I should get that too. But some people don't know what good is.
What you thought looked like a 5-star from you getting that rating from somebody else, we telling you what a 5-star looks like over here. Yes, I was perceived to be a 5-star up until this point. And it's not that I'm not good, but now I'm a little fish in a big pond. 100. And a part that can come from entitlement.
Mom, dad, uncle says, you supposed to be starting. How would you help them in that situation? Because that's the portal is a thing. And a lot of those portal situations are just like that.
Are you gonna punk out because it's easy and going to the portal? That's how I see it, you punking out.
This is the business of athletes. If you don't understand how the money moves, you don't understand the game.
Welcome. In this video, we talk about how athletes can manage themselves as a brand, as a business. But one thing that we often leave untalked about, undiscussed is the mental performance side of it. You know, I dropped a video a while ago where we talked about athletes are investing in their careers, becoming more than just runners and jumpers. And we talked about getting a mental performance coach.
As a parent, if I think my kid is worthy enough to go to the league or to the Power 5, there is no vacation in the summertime. We train it because it's an investment for the whole group. Because if he makes it, the whole group eats. So no, we ain't going to Disney. We're going to take that money and send him to a trainer, get him some development. As academics, is mental. Get your mental coach. Because what happens when you don't play? And I've been around kids for the last 10 years, somebody's going to pass their freshman year in college. How do they handle that being 800 miles away? You need to get him a mental performance coach. You get him a nutritionist. Get their blood work done to understand like what vitamins they actually need for them. You need all that, and that costs money. So no vacation. No, he don't need a car his senior year, because when you go to college, he ain't driving.
A lot of people didn't agree with that. Some felt like we were taking away their childhood. Well, today's video topic is really the most important part about why a mental performance coach is needed in this growth area. We are having a special guest. I'm Reggie Calhoun Jr. This is the Business of Athletes, and our guest today is someone who I believe is a pioneer, someone who I believe thinks past today, past just the surface level of the mind of an athlete. Without further ado, I want to introduce my guest. All you.
Hey guys, my name is Shai Trigg. I'm the owner of Shift Performance, and I conduct sports psychology consulting and mental performance training for athletes of all ages. I also assist with coaching development as well as it pertains to mental performance. And so my objective is just to help athletes and coaches obtain high functionality throughout all phases of competition. Functional meaning well-equipped to carry out a task and to serve a purpose, and also to secure their well-being. So identity really matters in your performance respective field.
Cool. So, you know, the buzzword is always around like mental health, right? Proactiveness, you know, what happens in the crisis. You take a different approach, but you're talking about it from a performance side, right? Talk more about that.
Yeah, so mental performance is we are equipping these athletes with specific tools to help them perform their skill execution at a high level. So we're giving them certain intervention, application plans, certain tools that are tailored to their needs so they can perform well. Whereas we're not so much on the health crisis line, like, oh, whenever you have a problem, you know, just come talk to me. It's about what are your dysfunctional areas or improvements that are hindering you from actually executing the skill component. So whether that is performance anxiety, or you may not have confidence in, you know, producing a certain skill within a certain drill, right? Yeah. So it's for us to dissect that down, like what's the problem, where's the disconnect, right? Then we figure out a solution. So that's kind of like problem solution analysis. Nice. And now that we have a solution, where do we implement this plan so that we can make our solution a reality?
Right. So on this channel, we talk a lot about, you know, athletes being businesses, right? How they make their money, how they grow their money, branding, and all those things, right? But I want to dive a little deeper into these athletes are coming into money, of course, right? And they're taking care of, you know, family members back home or communities and things like that, or they even trying to get their own endeavors, right? Where do you see mental performance actually playing a part in this NIL space from a business and longevity standpoint?
Yes, so I think the number one thing is to help athletes build their identity around what money is and their belief system around what money is, also as well as the responsibility of taking care of their family. So from a sports psych mental performance standpoint is, okay, how can we restructure or mold an athlete to, one, really solidify their purpose and their vision and who they are as an athlete and what they're wanting to accomplish aside from money or taking care of family. Because once they start integrating, oh, my identity is around how much money I make, my purpose is around pleasing my family or taking care of my family, that robs them of really maximizing their own purpose, which is why they played sports in the first place.
Wow. So it's funny that you said that robs them. Because in the video that we referenced, I mentioned there is no vacations. You know, we ain't going to Disney. He don't need a car, right? And some people in the comments were like, you know, rob him from being a kid. But then they enter into this space where I see them, and I think they're being robbed of that because their whole mindset is not, I want to be the best player because I want to be the best player, is I want to be the best player to make the most money to take care of my people. Where would you integrate a mental performance like cadence or a regimen for somebody who's first generation, not only college, but now 6 figures, 7 figures?
One, I would love to make them understand and be aware that taking care of your family or obtaining a certain number is a reward, right? That's like the desired outcome. What you want to focus on is the process and the work, the development, right? So this is the investment you were talking about to potentially obtain those rewards. So it's always like prerequisites, right? If you focus too much around, oh, the money and all this other stuff, then you're robbing the athlete is also robbing themselves of the development, the prerequisites that need to be mastered to obtain the reward. So it's like, let's shift your focus off of the reward, which can be obtained if you meet these prereqs. So let's just focus on the prereqs. You get really good at those, master those, execute those, and guess what? Now your chances are higher of reaping those rewards.
Man, okay, so let's bring it back to something you mentioned earlier about the psychology of money, right? When I talk about the business of athletes and people mention the business and the NIL and the valuations, right? They're always talking about dollar amounts. But I read a book, and there's a book about psychology of money, learning about money, your personality in money. Are you an investor? Are you a saver? Are you aggressive? All those things too. How does a person who doesn't even understand money, don't understand themselves, but they're coming into money, but they also want to play really, really well, how do they balance that? How would you tell them to balance those areas in their life?
Well, one, definitely get the perspective of what they feel like money is. Like, what is money, right? I'm always about collecting data before I give you a strategy or try to navigate you through this system. I got to know where you're at right now in this position, right? So what belief do you have about money? What meanings do you attach to money? How do you think money regulates? How do you think money navigates? And how do you think you can handle that navigation or be in control of that navigation, right? So once you collect that data, every athlete is going to be different, you know?
100%.
And so then, like you said, okay, I really want to play well, but I also want to acquire this money. It goes back to the acquisition is the reward. I really want to play really well is the prerequisite. So we have to make sure that we are clearly defining, hey, present moment is playing really well. Future is the acquisition piece. And also letting them understand that, hey, when someone is giving you money, you really don't have control over that. You have control over earning money, but the actual amount, that's going to be decided by whoever is negotiating your contract or whoever, the coach, the program, that you're with. So it's like, what can you control? Is I play well just to earn money. not the dollar amount, because again, you're not in control of that. Even the best athletes in the world in the NFL, right? You have to produce very well to be able to get a high dollar negotiated on a contract, right? And even sometimes then they may not get the number that they want. And this is when they made it.
So you said play well, get paid well, right?
Played well, get paid well.
So there's a famous quote: "You look good, you feel good, you play good, they pay good," right? But some people don't know what good is.
Yeah.
because your good might not be my good. Your good might not be the GM's good. Your good might not be the contract guy's good. How do you understand what good is, and how do you measure against real metrics while remaining conscious of what's going on, but also being aggressive in the space? How does that work, right? If I'm an athlete, I'm just like, man, such and such just got paid X amount of dollars. I know I'm better than him. I should get that too. Because I see that all day long.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the famous quote, comparison kills. Kind of like with that, I always tell athletes, mind your own business. Because however their system is structured, they might have got that dollar amount skill-wise, they may not deserve it. So an athlete could be comparing themselves performance and skill-wise, like, hey, like I outperform him, my numbers are better, but he got this dollar amount. That goes back to what he got is not in his control because he has somebody on the other end negotiating that. Sometimes the dollar amounts that certain athletes receive, it's not because you may not be outperforming him or you may be underperforming him, but it's really about who's on their team that's in that office that has nothing to do with you. Like we see it all the time. There's certain athletes that get these NIL deal contracts or whatever, and the skill and production and performance may not match that. So if an athlete is solely focused on that, again, mind your business. But I would say too, I lost my train of thought, or what you said earlier, where I was getting to.
So in recruiting,
yeah,
right? Somebody going through recruiting is going to be offered a certain number. They may feel they deserve this number, but they don't understand the
good part. That's where we were at.
They don't understand the philosophy of the team, right? So now we have to start looking at recruiting from the standpoint of, does your personality and your philosophy and your beliefs match this team?
Yes.
Right? Because what they value may not be what you put value on, and you believe you should be valued at this.
Yes.
But not the team may not think that's of value to them, right? So mentally, I believe truly that if an athlete is going through the recruiting process, especially in the NIL space, and they're thinking about themselves as a business, you're also integrating yourself within another business. So if you don't understand how that business is structured and what they value, you're not going to be able to even negotiate or even come to a agreement.
Absolutely.
You know? So give me your take on high school kid coming in, 5-star, was the man, woman, did the thing. Yeah. And they got offered a number that they don't believe they should be getting.
Right. And I want to touch base, and I'm going to put this into my answer with that, because you talked about the subjectivity of good, right? Your good may not be my good, basically talking about the value. So my thing is, like, athletes got to understand how to play chess, because it is a business. Meaning you have to obtain, okay, what are the demands of this business, this team, this organization that I'm going into? What are their core values? You know, what do they perceive as good? If their perception of good may be different from mine, well, the thing is, I got to play chess and adjust to make sure that my behaviors, everything about me is aligning with their system. Because there's always somebody who can align with their interpretation of good. So I think that just comes with maturity, right? If you're going to integrate yourself into a certain business, it is about what they value, because they're looking for people who's going to have that same vision and get on the same page, right?
But I was a 5-star. I was really good in high school. So that should be enough, right?
And that's kind of like a little bit of entitlement, a little bit, because what you did in the past to get that rating, because we didn't rate you as a 5-star. Somebody else rated you as a 5-star. Yeah. Right? So now that you're in our program, what you thought looked like a 5-star from you getting that rating from somebody else, we telling you what a 5-star looks like over here.
Wow.
So you got to find that disconnect.
That's going to be difficult.
It is.
Because I'm dad. This is little Johnny. And he's been good. Everybody's always told him he's good. Now y'all coming in, you're saying you value him as a 3-star or a 4-star, but he was a 5-star when he got here.
Yeah, according to who he has played within his experience.
So how do you help an athlete like curve that? Because that's gonna take the whole situation.
Oh yeah, they're gonna get defensive.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if you're sitting across from a parent and you're saying, hey, he might be graded as a 3-star to this team, how do you set the foundation there for them to even get in front of a coach who may got them in as a 5-star, but then after they went through their evaluation, they're like, hey, yes, but you're gonna be a developmental guy for us.
So that's where I lead with like realism, and it's tough. Like it can be tough, but I love the challenges. It's because, again, some people want to dedicate the past to like the now or the future. So it's really getting the parents to understand like, hey, yes, your kid was a 5-star, and we're not going to rob him of that. He worked hard for that 5-star, for that rating. Now we're at the next level, right? So however your mindset and your beliefs was cultivated around that 5-star up until now, this is where we got to do some restructuring. We got to restructure because this is a new system that, again, that did not rate him as that 5-star. So they need to understand the way that you guys are seeing him and not how others have seen him.
Okay.
And that can be hard to buy into, but the reality of it is that's going to help athletes understand that, hey, yes, I was perceived to be a 5-star up until this point. And it's not that I'm not good, but now I'm a little fish in a big pond
100%.
Type of thing, because now I'm here with other kids that are also 5 stars or 4 stars. Now you in a business where it's the best of the best.
Yeah.
So what's going to separate you? And like me, coming from the sports psychology part of things, I always examine the mental side. So yeah, you might have been a 5-star, talent, physical, but now you're up against other 4 and 5 stars. So what's going to separate you? Because everybody got the opportunity.
Yeah. So this episode really is talking about like investing in you, right? And the mental side of the athlete's business. When I met you, you talked about your program, and how you operate. Explain to me just initially, how does the program work? What's the expectation? And how does an athlete enter into your system?
Yes. So most athletes, when they come to me, most of them are already aware that there is something that is hindering them from performing at a fluid level or a confident level, whatever that may be. So my main objective, again, is to identify where's the disconnection, where's the dysfunctional areas, right? And I want to help them navigate that through whether we're increasing your awareness of a thing, because that's number one. You can't fix anything that you're not aware of, right? And then again, problem solution analysis. So helping, and sometimes it could be helping them navigate with NIL, or they place a value on me that I don't, agree with, right? So also is opening up their understanding of, hey, I got to be a little business savvy and play chess, more than just only, thinking about my pure talent. Like it's more than that. So it just depends, honestly, on what the athlete's dysfunctional areas and needs of improvement. And my system, I'm going to tailor it, to that athlete. Every athlete is different. So we create this system, right? I'll say it's a cognitive behavioral, right? That means cognitive, emotional, behavioral. How are we regulating within all 3 of these to make sure that we're performing well to meet the sporting culture demands, whatever organization you're playing demands, but also you're meeting your own purpose and vision for yourself. You're meeting those demands, right? And so it's a process. It has its ups and downs, because being an athlete, it's not easy. You're not going to be perfect, but we want to make sure that you're progressive, right? And that you have those tools that we've created, that we've came up this system, you know, to be able to implement right then and there.
So when it comes to the mental health space, right? A lot of buzzwords, a lot of theoretical conversations.
Yeah.
For a parent who's watching this, who's looking at, why would I even want to invest in a mental performance coach? I'm gonna give you an example of a typical athlete,
Yeah.
right, in their scenario, and I want you to walk this family through how you would guide them, right?
Gotcha.
So, sophomore, college, balled out freshman year, had some crazy stats. Sophomore year, they bring in an experienced guy. Now the role is dropped, right? He's still making money. He wants to make more money, but they brought in another guy. Mom, dad, uncle says, "You supposed to be starting." He goes to coach, tells coach, either I start or I'm leaving.
That's so wild. I love this.
That's
I love
part of the game,
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
right?
no.
So mom, dad, uncle aren't at the school, but they're saying, you should be starting. He goes to the officer, threatens to leave. Coach says, go test the market. What happens? How would you help them in that situation? Because
Yes.
the portal is a thing. And a lot of those portal situations are just like that.
So I'm gonna want to break it down into how it specifically helped the athlete.
Yep.
And then how it would help the parents.
Nice.
You know, so athlete, we got to understand, okay, what really influenced you to go to the coach? Is it more of what you believed, or is it more of what you were getting from your parents? Athlete, your parents are telling you you should start, but they are not in this day in and day out process with you. They really don't know how the structure of this organization is ran. They're not seeing how you show up for practice, all these other things, right? They're not there. They're on the outside looking in, and they're telling you should start. Is it more of a parental thing? Because, oh, this is my baby, you know? So it's kind of like, where is their reality at with how you are performing or producing? And so with the athlete, I'm like, let's get that down first. What's really motivating you and influence you to go to this coach and want to get in the portal?
Your reason why.
Your reason why, right? And then let's be real and dissect how we've been showing up since you've been in this program, right? Because yes, programs are going to bring other athletes in. That doesn't mean that, you know, you stop showing up. Are you going to punk out because it's easy and going to the portal? That's how I see it. You punking out because no one said we're bringing in this kid to take your position. There got to be some competitiveness there because you can still earn your position or stay in the starting position. So then we got to focus on that, right? Are you avoiding, shying away? Are you trying to play it safe because, oh, shoot, they brought in somebody else, so I ain't got it my way? Or is there going to be some type of fighting and competitiveness? Because you got to think we got flight or fight mode, right?
Okay. Explain that.
So flight mode means when a challenge arises, you perceive it as a threat, you scared, you want to run, hop in that portal, right? Fight mode means I embrace the challenge. I see like, hey, okay, this athlete is coming in, so what am I going to do to still make sure that I am starting in my position, right? So it's kind of like embracing the challenge, rising up to it, or you either going.
So is that something like taught, learned, fight, flight? Is that?
It can be both because we naturally have responses, right? Like, so I mean, if a bear come through this door, everybody gonna be, you know what I'm saying? It's
I'm
not.
actually gonna run. I'm flighting.
Right, we go fight. So the thing is, it can be taught. Like being in fight mode can be taught. Being in flight mode can be taught. But it takes the psychological process to one, understand the triggers of why somebody would naturally fight or flight. You know, and then like within this space with athletics, it's all about making the athlete understand what fight and flight looks like within their particular situation and what characteristics and traits that they need to develop to be more on the fighting side, to where you're not punking out, hopping in the portal because you don't let entitlement and also entitlement of your parents get into that position.
So you're bringing up parents.
Yes.
Fight, flight.
Yeah.
You said it can be taught.
It can be.
So that means somebody, the parents can teach them to always flight.
Sure can. Sure can. And a part of that can come from entitlement. Like if they're in their kid's head, oh, you need to be starting. If you don't start, then you need to go somewhere else. Now that athlete is like, you know what, yeah, that's right. I don't know why they brought another dude. Like, I deserve this. I'm gonna go talk to him. If he don't give what I'm out of here.
So if we're looking at a kid who coming in recruiting, and I'm saying we, people in the industry who are looking at either investing in an athlete or working with them, should we be looking at what they done in like little league, middle school?
Nope. Nope.
Middle school, high school, because they go to multiple high schools and play for multiple little league teams. Should that be a benchmark?
Little league, middle school, I could see why you would look at high school, junior and senior year, because that's like recent events as to why they would be recruited anyway, right? I think yes, junior, high school year, because junior year is recruitment year anyway,
right?
But anything before.
So I guess I was asking more so from a behavioral standpoint.
Okay.
Because if you see now you got little kids getting NIL deals and they balling, but they play for 17 teams. They got like 8 helmets, right? Should that be like a red flag, or should that be? Could we look at that as the kid is just trying to find his fit and compete at the next level? Like every team may have been a new challenge, or how does a mom, dad not instill the flight thing, but every team they believe they're giving them the fight? Because I'm going different teams.
Put it in a scenario specifically with we'll say a 10-year-old child.
Okay.
Like how you just gave me that scenario.
Yeah.
Put it in a scenario.
Boom. So 10-year-old kid plays for local park team. He's killing it, right?
A local park team.
Local park team.
Yeah.
Hey, you got,
I know.
Hey, this industry is crazy. Local park team,
yes.
Kid getting offered in class 2037, right? It's just crazy. He balls out. Boom. Next season, dad, mom feels he should be playing on the select team.
Okay.
He's on the select team. Now, he don't play that much. So they find a new select team. Get on that team, he don't play a lot. He finds the next select team, balls out, right? But he didn't get the number he wanted. So he go to a different school, a different team. All this happens in like 1 year in Little League, believe it or not. Should that be something that we look into?
Yes, and this is why on the behavioral part, because whenever you are recruiting a kid, especially in college, unfortunately, some of them come with baggage, right? And so when you're seeing the mindset of the parent and how they're navigating, because a kid, they're getting told what to do or influenced. Even if the kid's like, no, I want to stay on this team. But again, because the parent's like, nah, because when you played at this little local recreational team, you was balling out. But when we get on the select team, no, they're not treating you the same way, even though this is another level where now he's coming into a culture where it's a lot of him, same skill, probably even kids that may be better than him, right? Kids only have so much say-so. So I would say look at that, because now you're understanding how the parents are navigating, and you may not want to deal with that when you recruit them. So think about it. So if they're already navigating his movement in middle school, Little League, kind of look at how they're navigating maybe in high school. If you see patterns, if it's similar, because the thing is, some parents do change, they adjust, right? Everybody adjusts. But if you see similarities from Little League to high school, and you say that this is the mentality, because now if it's the same, this mentality is how now the kid thinks. Right. It's ingrained from this high all the way up. So I think you should be looking at those behavioral mental components, because that may not be something that fits in you all's demands, core values, and things like that. So on the behavioral mental side, absolutely.
So I asked that because parents who watch this video, who try to understand what they should be doing, getting a glimpse into how the higher ups are looking at the recruiting, right? And they should be able to take like ownership and inventory of themselves.
Yeah.
And say, okay, yeah, we've sent Lil Johnny to 7 different teams. He been to 4 high schools. He went from the public school to private school. Maybe we're the problem. Maybe we need a mental performance coach.
They do. Like, I've worked with some parents.
So talk about that. So you also work with parents too from a mental performance side for the athletes, or is this more like therapeutic?
No, it's for the athlete.
So you're helping them perform better for the athlete.
Mostly in the supportive realm.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is there's 2 different identities, right? You have your child who has their child identity, their personal identity, and then you have your child as an athlete. That's athlete identity. Those 2 identities can be separate in the way that they function, the way that they operate. A lot of parents come into the athletic world, the sporting environment, with I'm the parent and this is my child. So now you're not understanding how to support your athlete, who is your child, within their sporting environment.
Run that back.
Okay.
Say that one again.
Okay.
That was like smooth. You out here, you know.
Don't be trying to use my stuff.
I'm definitely taking it. I just want you to know that. That's going in my book. That's going in my book.
So again, 2 separate identities. You got your child, self-identity, and then you got your child as an athlete identity. When the parent steps into the sporting environment, right, this is where their child is operating in their athlete identity. A lot of parents don't know how to support the athlete. They keep bringing in, I'm supporting my child. Man. And the wiring of those 2 systems, those 2 identities are different. So here you are trying to baby, be a mama, be a daddy, and you're not providing the right support for them as an athlete who has to navigate this system where I can't rely on mama and daddy to save me because the coach is going to make their decision whether they're going to play me or not.
Wow. That was really good.
Mama and daddy can't do nothing about this one.
Because that goes into the business side. You know, your child is your child. Your child is also an athlete. In this space, he's an athlete. She's an athlete. Still your child, but he's an athlete. But now, this athlete is also a business. So your athlete's business is not your child.
Yep.
Oh, you're going to hurt some people. Fair on that one.
Because guess what? Athlete in business, the athlete is now committed to the coach, whoever else is running the program. The athlete is not committed to mom and dad. When they step outside that athlete environment and they're your child, they're committed to you. Wow. And a lot of parents don't know how to detach. So I help with healthy detachment to reattach in the right supportive space for the athlete.
So I've been wanting to break this down and like close us out. Okay, but you just said some cool stuff. Break down the detachment, because when I hear that, you want me to let my kid just go and fend for himself? You say detach, like you want me to just let my kid just go fend for himself. That what you're saying?
That is not what I'm saying.
That's what it sounds like.
Perspective is everything.
100%.
No,
but
detachment just means how much am I involved in my athletes, again, not child, in my athlete's sporting environment. For instance, I have parents who pay for a lot of like resources for their athlete. They got their positional coach, their strength and conditioning coach, their mental performance coach, and then they actually have the coach of the sport. But yet the parent comes in trying to be everything that they just paid resources for, right? So again, you have to detach your involvement and let the athlete develop with the athletic resources
that you invested in.
Yes.
So if I'm gonna invest in it, I should be overseeing my investment, not micromanaging my investment.
Yes. Because you do want the best for your child as an athlete, right? Yep. But also understand that the best does come with some challenges. They're not going to get their way all the time, which means you're not going to get their way all the time. Because at the end of the day, you're not the coach. You're not the strength and conditioning coach. You're not the mental performance specialist. So why are you hiring us to do a job to develop your imperfect athlete, because no one's perfect, but then you're trying to micromanage? Because if that's the case here, you be the mental performance coach. You be the strength and conditioning coach. You be the coach that runs all this operations. I would love to see how you do that. Right. So healthy detachment just means knowing how to fall back in your involvement and let the athlete develop in this sporting environment.
Wow.
Because your role as a parent is to develop them
Yeah.
personally.
Give them
and
all the tools.
give them all the tools so that they're, you're teaching them to be a best man and, how to live this life and how to work through this life.
Wow. Okay, so I could probably talk about more set scenarios and keep going. But I want you to wrap this up.
Okay.
Give us your best 5-point touch points for a parent to look at their athlete as not just their child, but their athlete, and then how do they support that? Like give them like your big thing. Like, hey, look, parent X, do this.
Okay. Number one, understand their sporting environment. If they play, we're gonna go with football since we're talking about football. If they play football, understand the football culture and what comes with that and how the operation of that is, just in general, right? 2, whatever organization that they're playing for, understand their system and what they're looking for, right? And then 3, based off of the data that you just collected from those 2, you need to position yourself in, okay, what I should do and what I don't need to do. And I'm gonna say 4. And 4 actually could go up there. This is not an order, by the way.
Right.
Because 4 could actually, depending on who the athlete is, understand your child as an athlete. There are 2 different identities, which means I'm gonna give you a real scenario that can help explain this. I have an athlete right now that I'm working with. And my athlete actually had to tell their parent, hey, I have a coach, I have a mental performance coach, I have a strength coach. Let them do that. The parent felt some type of way. Feelings was hurt. And I was like, well, I know you probably didn't like that, but again, understand your child as an athlete and what they need and what their identity is, and then you'll be able to support that. But as long as you just keep seeing your child as an athlete as just your child only, you won't be able to integrate well, and that can also drive a wedge through your child's relationship. So you have to respect them within their athlete identity, within their athlete world.
I said I was gonna end it, so I ain't gonna ask you another question because I was about to ask you one more. So,
Okay.
But I want you to tell the people how they can find you, how they can learn more about your program, and what's next.
Yes, guys. So Instagram, you can find me at shiftperformance_. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Shai Trigg. I do have a website as well, shiftperformance.live. It has all my information, the services that I offer, and things like that. So that's where you can reach me. What's next for your girl is to continue to expand my platform and my business. Currently, I work with individual athletes. I work with teams and things like that. So now just trying to expand that and navigate in actually collegiate spaces where they don't have interactive, applied sports psychology, mental performance training program.
Man, thank you, because I think this is going to be one of these videos that somebody can always look back and say, am I messing up? Am I helping? Like, comment, and subscribe. This is the business of athletes. If you don't understand how the money moves, you don't understand the game.